Hi, I'm Brian. Welcome to Autogefuehl and welcome to the future of e-mobility within the Volkswagen Group. This is the Skoda Vision 7S. Is it any good? Is it where electric mobility is headed? Let's take a closer look and find out. Out goes the old design language, out goes the old CEO, in with the new, and in with a new design language. So what you are looking at is the first example of what Schkoda are calling modern solid. Now, if anyone's watching this clip and saying, come on, Brian, why are you calling it that, and laughing at me, I always have a difficult balance to making reviews as to whether I go with the traditional pronunciation of Schkoda or the English pronunciation of Skoda. And that's actually more important to the brand than you might think, as demonstrated here within the brand new redesign of their logo. They felt the accenting above the S was incredibly important to the brand, so they've now integrated that into the S itself. As you can see, there's a little bit of a move away here from having that traditional Viking logo that we're so used to seeing on the front. That's still going to be used, but it's going to be more two-dimensional than three-dimensional in the future. This, meanwhile, is supposed to represent the future of the brand, as does the entire rest of the design language that's been used on this vehicle. Well, I think the important news here immediately is that this is how the brand are thinking of using the MEB platform going forwards. This is a seven-seater, but it's a little bit of a reimagination as to what a seven-seater can actually deliver. But in bold terms, because when you actually look at this, you have to ask yourself the question, can I really see myself owning one of these things? I think that, to me, is always the point with any car that's presented at this stage of its design and development. And for me, the answer is absolutely a resounding yes. I like this styling. I think it looks modern, but not too dramatic. It isn't too far away from what the brand were already doing, but it definitely is distinct and different. It makes a bold, clean statement about the brand's intention. It speaks to the future, but it still references the past. And we're back at this S again. So I like that. I also like the way that newer technology's been integrated into the design. Look at this light design, for example. I think that really sets off the entire front very nicely indeed. Now, as we come round to the side of the vehicle and we get a little bit more sense of the scale of this thing, what I find really impressive about this, as with all well-designed electric cars, is the way in which that battery pack has been integrated into the flow of it. For me, this remains a Schkoda. If you took the badges off this and you asked me what brand it was, I still believe I could identify this as a Schkoda. It carries the brand's DNA throughout. This is a seven-seater, but they're also describing it as a 6+1. This, to me, is a really nice touch. Schkoda, very well-known family brand, and here, right in the heart of the vehicle, that's where they put the child seat. Now, this gave me more than a bit of a smile, because if you read the marketing stuff that gets sent out, they said what we wanted to do was to put the baby in the safest spot in the vehicle. It made me chuckle because I think, well, that depends who's driving and what the driving conditions are. So I almost wondered, I wonder if it's going to be a movable platform so the car can talk to you and say, well, according to what you're currently doing, we feel your child is going to be best placed way back there. Now, clearly that's not the case. I've got 3 kids of my own. I don't know if you have any or you're thinking of having any, but I can tell you, the idea of being able to sit there and look straight at your baby, that's great. And I haven't seen anyone else do that so far. Please tell me if you've seen a design where that's already happening. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to come through to the finished product, but I think it's a great way of thinking. And the whole presentation of the car kind of speaks to that style as well. And that's what Schkoda represents to me. They don't tend to just do things for effect. They really are always asking themselves, what does our customer want? And that's what I'm seeing more than anything else when I look at this car. What you're looking at is an 8.8-inch driver's display screen and a 14.6-inch infotainment system display. Couple of nice features here. Now, that infotainment screen that you're looking at right now, which is being demoed by one of the Schkoda guys, will change its orientation from landscape to portrait and back again. So when you're setting the car up, it's in the most natural configuration for you to use, and when you're driving, it is in the best configuration for you to not be distracted by it. As you can see, what you're currently looking at within this model are not animal skin. That's all sustainable materials that you're looking at, and there's a lot of recycling happening in there. Well, we finally get to take a look inside, and as you can see, the future is not only electric, but dare I say a little bit Tesla shaped. Okay, maybe that's a bit controversial, but you know, oval steering wheel, full digital display in the center. Well, if you're going to innovate, then other people are going to copy. And I think it's reasonable to suggest at the very least Skoda have made this their own. It is definitely a unique approach. 8.8-inch display for the driver right above the steering wheel. And I think that's actually nicely executed. It's pretty small, but it gives you the information you need and doesn't distract. The real story, though, is right here in the center. This is 14.6 inches of real estate. And as I think Cornelius is actually able to show you, that is quite a significant amount of electronic real estate to play with. Now, I haven't been shown anything, and to be completely honest, I'm not entirely convinced we're supposed to be in here, so let's do that. Wow. When I hit the relax drive button, everything changes. That was quite exciting. I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for that. What happens is the orientation of the display changes from portrait to landscape, making it more accessible and easier for you to utilize. What you may not have quite been able to capture on camera there, hopefully Cornelius has a cutaway, is that the seat angle changes, as you can see, making it easier for me to communicate with my passenger, and the steering wheel moves out of the way to make the space a little bit more comfortable. Now, this is obviously only a first take. My understanding is that the reason for the flecking on the floor and the interior is to reinforce the idea that everything is sustainable, recycled, using materials that have already served one purpose or another in a different life. So I wouldn't expect this to be the finished version. But you know what? I actually kind of like it. It does look super easy to clean, and if you have kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this might be the last thing I'm able to do before I'm told to leave, but I'm going to push that button one more time just so Cornelius can show you what happens. This is the relaxed drive change. Oh my goodness. And here we change from the relaxed configuration of the car to the driving configuration of the car. Driver's seat comes forward, driver's display changes, and the steering wheel drops down. That's quite some transformation. And it actually works pretty effortlessly. I'm actually kind of a big fan of that. I kind of wish my car had one of those themselves. Now, as you're more than familiar, I think everything now in most modern cars is drive-by-wire anyway. And oh, well, Cornelia says, do it again. I'll do it one last time, but I'm almost certain we'll be asked to leave the second I do. So that'll be the last thing I do. I just want to mention that I really enjoy the ability to interact with the driver space that you don't get in older cars. It's nice in most modern cars, and it's really well utilized here. So here for the last time is the relaxed drive function. Oh yeah, I like it. They're looking at having an 89 kilowatt battery for this thing, which should give you an effective range 600 kilometers or 370 miles. Now, the charging speed is going to be based on a 200 kilowatt maximum charge. So all theoretical at the moment, but I think it should be reasonable to assume that those numbers are fairly close to what they're hoping for. One of the things I particularly like about this car is that it's a good compromise between large and spacious, which is what customers want, and still producing an effective range and not being too overblown and too heavy. Now, that's particularly interesting for the Volkswagen Group, because I think we're going to see more of this design being integrated right across the brand. It's obviously very difficult making electric make up for the fact that the power density is nothing like what you can get from an internal combustion engine, but it gets better every single year. And that means that over time we can have those larger vehicles we love and still keep the range that we need. Well, one thing I won't miss between now and launch event for this are these wheels. It's always going to be a little bit of a trick designing wheels for a car you're presenting of a brand relaunch. You have to make a big statement, right? Well, that doesn't really work for me, but I very much don't expect to see those on the finished vehicle. But you know what? That's just my taste. I would really like to hear from you if you're looking at these and saying, yes, that's it for me. I would love to have a set of those. I love the way that wheels divide opinion. So not my taste, but what about yours? More of that rugged design and also very modern light architecture at the back of the vehicle, and coming down as the bottom, this coloration is clearly designed to tell you this is recycled material. Well, I think that's a very nice touch, and I very much like the design elements echoing what we've already seen at the front. And again, I'm sure you remember me mentioning, but if I can get Cornelius to pan the camera across here, that to me is absolutely classic for Skoda. So as much as they're saying, yeah, we're completely rethinking everything, again, I'm really happy that they've kept the core of their brand intact within this, a glimpse into the future. So if you've liked this, I think what you should immediately do is check out our videos for the ID.5 and also the Skoda Enyaq. They're coming up right now. It's going to give you a chance to see what this car is actually progressing from and what you're going to be able to buy on the roads right now.